Oh, sorry, I don't even hear you. Sorry. Who is it?
Dolly Parton?
Yeah, that's correct. It's Dolly Parton.
I was going to say, I was like, bitch, I screamed it
Sorry.
Help!
Sorry.
That into the megaphone.
I'm trapped in this corner fart studio. Sorry, I had it was pilot error. No, you're absolutely correct. Dolly Parton, who is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and she said at the time, she initially rebuffed their invitation to induct her, and then I guess she thought she's nothing if not polite. And so thought, well, if I'm going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then I need to earn it. And so she has put together her first rock album. Have you seen the photos from Rockstar? From her forthcoming rock album?
I saw the cover, that's it.
There's a cover, there's photos. She's got like an Ace Frehley star eye patch in one. Another one, she's on a motorcycle in the fog. And there's one where, listen, it's Dolly Parton, so she looks amazing. But it's going to be a huge, I guess she figured, okay, fine, I'll do this. I'll get it all done in one fell swoop. So It's going to be what's that?
One fatal swoop.
According to Poundcake, one fatal swoop. That's right. And so Rockstar is going to be a double disc, 4-album, 30-track release.
Hell yeah.
30 songs, 9 originals. The rest of them are covers with a whole lot of collaborators. Apparently no one under 40 knows Dolly Parton because there's nobody she's collaborating with that's particularly young or, but, you know, a lot of crowd pleasers in this thing. She basically reunites the Beatles. She's got Paul and Ringo on one of these tracks. They do Let It Be with her and Peter Frampton and Mick Fleetwood. So, yeah, it's an all-star cast. Gary Rossington from Lynyrd Skynyrd, who recently died, he's got a posthumous collab with her. They do Freebird with Dolly and Artemis Pyle. And so, yeah, she's got a whole, it does Heart of Glass with Debbie Harry, and Rob Halford's on this, and Nikki Sixx, and Pat Benatar, and Dolly do Heartbreaker. So it's mostly her doing covers with people who did the song, but there's a handful of original songs in there. So I guess she figured, I'll just do one rock album, shut all y'all up, and then I'll move on. She's got a song called Either Or, featuring Kid Rock on there, which just goes to show you that some people transcend in pop culture. Some people transcend politics. They transcend genre. You're hard-pressed to I don't know how she's done it. It's equal parts longevity and equal parts having an open heart and an open mind. You'll never hear anybody talk smack on Dolly Parton. So Kid Rock, John Fogerty, Steven Tyler, Stevie Nicks. She does Purple Rain.
Oh, I would love to hear that.
Obviously, she can't collaborate with Prince, as he is, let me check my notes, dead. So, yeah, a lot of tracks on this. So if you're somebody who's been waiting with bated breath. Now, listen, I love Dolly Parton. We all know how this album's going to sound. She's not, she's not hooking up with Ronnie Radke for any, metalcore covers or anything like that. She's doing Keep On Loving You with Kevin Cronin, longtime frontman for REO Speedwagon. I think probably the youngest person on this album with her is Brandi Carlile, who's like 41 or 42 years old. I mean, Dolly Parton's pushing 80, so everybody on here is a young whippersnap, right? If you're 40, you're like half her age. You're like, you damn kids. She does Stairway to Heaven with Lizzo, who's in town here Friday night. She's doing a
really?
Romo Fijo, yeah. Lizzo, and it says Sasha Flute. I assume that is her alter ego. Remember when Beyonce tried Sasha Fierce on for about 5 minutes? I guess Lizzo's hat tip to that is Sasha Flute.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Is it? Listen, I think calling yourself Lizzo is just fine. What's with the alter ego? Your whole hook is you play the flute. You can play it harder?
She dances while she plays the flute.
Well, you kind of got to.
It's called the bitch flute.
You can't stand there and play the flute.
Stomp around.
Yeah, there's nothing dynamic about that. You've got to move around while you're playing the flute. You ever watch somebody sit still? You know, I go to a lot of orchestral performances because my daughter's at the School of Music at Michigan State, so I sit through a lot of these. You ever watch somebody sit or stand and play the flute?
Very boring.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, you better run your ass around. I mean, at least Ian Anderson, even in Jethro Tull, he stood on one leg, which is super lame. But at the time, they were like, people were so focused that there's a guy playing a flute in a rock band. They didn't care, he's standing there like a flamingo. But Lizzo, first of all, she's not going to stand on one leg.
You don't know that? She might for a moment. Why not?
Because
why?
she's a woman of large carriage. And I imagine...
I'm a large guy. I can stand on one leg.
While you play a whole song on the flute?
Yes.
Mm.
A kazoo, at least.
You ain't as big as Lizzo. I'm just saying that when you're performing, the center of gravity there is going to kind of exert itself on you in different ways. I guess, okay, so Lizzo is the youngest person on the Dolly record. She's 35. I thought Lizzo was like 22. I know she was almost 40. Man, good for her. If you can get in, people start paying attention to you like before you're 40 in popular music. That's a big deal.
Well, I mean, that's usually if they don't pay attention to you before you're 40, it ain't going to happen.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You age out.
Yeah.
I know she's been putting out records for a while, but people really didn't start to notice her until a few years ago. So, anyway. So, listen, the Dolly Parton record is called Rockstar, and she's making good on, I guess, a promise to the people who wanted her in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because she initially said, I can't do that. I don't have the bona fides, if you will, to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then she thought better of it and thought, well, then somebody probably told her this is a great opportunity for you to do something like this. Do a rock record. So she has spent the last year making this record. She got inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And if you're Dolly Parton's people, there's not a single person you're going to call that's going to turn you down. So you basically have the pop culture Rolodex at your disposal, and they'll come and do it. So Rockstar is going to be out on November 17th on Dolly Parton's own record label. It'll be out 30 songs, 2 compact discs, 4 albums. You know, these days, ironically, the albums are more important to people than the compact discs. You know, people kind of got back into buying turntables and albums and things. It's probably harder for a lot of people to locate a compact disc player, strangely enough. Tomorrow night, Dolly Parton will be hosting the 2023 Academy of Country Music Awards with Garth Brooks. I've been checking to see what shows are
He did a rock album. How'd that work out? Is he going to
Chris
get a rock
Gaines?
Hall? Put Chris Gaines in the Rock Hall right now.
I never heard any of the Chris Gaines music. The cover told me all I need to know. I appreciate him.
Does it exist anywhere? Can you?
I'm sure it does. It's probably streaming or something. I appreciate him taking that swing, but I don't know what the music sounded like. Did it sound? Was it a rock?
Yeah.
Music? Okay.
I would pull some up. I think it's on YouTube.
Chris Gaines' greatest hits.
Is that 0 songs?
Well, I'm just seeing what came up here. Hold on, let me...
Looks like the...
I mean, he didn't look bad. People were laughing at him because he looked like Garth Brooks, but he didn't look bad.
But
he's got a good face. He was skinnier.
We just knew it was Garth Brooks trying to look all Matchbox 20.
He had the swoopy emo hair, and I mean, you got to give him credit for trying.
The little soul patch.
Lost in You is this song.
There's no more waiting, holding out for love.
Okay, so he just looks different, and he's singing in a higher register. I mean, that's not a rock record. But to a country artist, you're like, I'm going to completely change it up. And then it's all like, acoustic guitars and stuff. Now, we were looking to see who was in town, because we're going to be in Vegas the week of July 4th, looking to see who's in town. And I was assuming, I'm like, well, the week of the 4th, it's all going to be like fireworks crap and whatever Vegas shows are in there. We're not really into like Vegas shows. So I want to see what bands were in town. We're just going to miss Nickelback. Just going to miss the back. That's what the fans call them. The back bacon, because they're Canadian. Just going to miss them. Hey, John.
Yes.
What's up?
Yeah, so you guys were talking about flying in the laboratories, and I have a story. A few months ago, I was flying to Orlando, and the size of these laboratories on Spirit Airlines, like I'm a pretty large guy, so I always get a first-class seat because they're big enough for me to sit. And so the story, I normally don't eat anything before I go on flights, but I was extremely hungry, so I stopped at Brubaker's Bagels, and I got a large coffee, and I had a really greasy breakfast sandwich. And as I'm walking down Concourse C, I go to get on my plane. They're starting to load the plane, and so I know I didn't have any time, but I could feel my stomach starting to gurgle, and I had to be at this business meeting. I could not miss this flight. So I had to get on the plane, and I get in my seat, and I say, before we get on the runway, I was like, to the stewardess, I've got to use the bathroom extremely bad. And she said, sir, you cannot until we get up in the air and the seatbelt light is off. So we get up in the air, and finally I rush to the toilet. I'm right there at the front of the plane, and there's only one lavatory in the entire plane. And I see some other people approaching as I'm going in, so I know, oh no, this is going to be a while. Well, I'm 310 pounds, okay? And just to get in that thing was extremely difficult. As you sit down, the toilet paper is right next to the wall. I could barely squeeze between the wall, and my legs were trapping the toilet paper. So I had the worst diarrhea. I mean, call it nerves, call it whatever. When I fly, I get nervous, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I'm finished with my business. It took me a good 10, 15 minutes. People are knocking on the lavatory. There's only one. People are asking, sir, are you okay? I was
going to say, why are people not? I hate when people knock on that. Listen, most people eat terribly. It takes them a long time to evacuate their bowels or whatever. I don't know why people are knocking on the lavatory door. Like, there's nobody dead in there. It's just taking somebody a long time to finish. It's so rude to knock on the door. It says occupado. Leave it alone.
That's not even the worst part. I couldn't even get to the toilet paper. My leg was trapping. It was so narrow. I mean, it's a bathroom for children, for crying out loud. They've got all this room on the plane. Why not remove a few seats? I know they want to sell tickets and maximize their profit, but they need bigger bathrooms. Half of America is obese, like me. So I couldn't. So I had to somehow try to stand up. I finally was able to grab some toilet paper, and I didn't realize, but as I turned, I had wiped all up the side of the wall with my rear end. And I was dripping. And mind you, I'm in a suit. I've got a business meeting within 2 hours after I land.
Yeah.
So I have no change of clothes with me. It's just a day trip. So as I go back and sit down on my seat, half of the plane is plugging their nose. It was the worst experience of my life. People are going into the bathroom.
And you already feel, and John, you probably already feel self-conscious because you're so large.
My goodness. I've struggled with obesity most of my life. I've tried everything from diet cookies to drinks to different kinds of weight loss programs.
John, all I was going to say is
he hasn't tried Orange Theory. Is that what you were going to say?
No, what I was going to say, I'll leave that to you.
No.
I'm not there paying me. What I was going to say, John, is that it sounds like you made kind of a series of bad decisions before the flight. If you know you get nervous flying, you probably shouldn't have had a greasy breakfast sandwich before you got on the flight.
I realized that. The most embarrassing part was, so there were some women with some weak stomachs, and even one of the stewardess, she threw up. And it makes you even feel even worse.
That sounds a little dramatic. I know that flight attendants can be dramatic because they have to put on that little safety kabuki play at the beginning, and so you get a lot of theater students in there. But the puking seems to be a little dramatic.
It was
a little overboard.
It was pretty intense. It was pretty intense smell, and. Well, so the guy that went in behind me, he came out and he said, sir, can you please come wipe this off the wall? He's like, this is disgusting. So I get up out of my seat and I go and look. And as I get up out of the seat, the guy who was sitting next to me said, sir, you've got crap all down your pant leg, your suit pant leg. And so here's me, no change of clothes. I've got to go to a business trip. So I finally get to my business trip after I get off the plane. And people are noticing me. Okay, when I get there, I had to make up a story of why I had crap all over my pant leg. I said I was walking through the grass to make a shortcut. I slipped on some dog crap, and that's how it happened, and I was apologizing. So they had to get me some big, large garbage bags to sit on in the conference room. And it was just, I swear I'll drive to Florida next time. I cannot handle flying with those tiny toilets.
John, without being specific, what kind of work do you do?
Well, this is Bob from Bob, and I pranked y'all again.
Oh, John. You know, he's halfway through telling... This is Bob. He's halfway through telling the story, and I'm like, he's making this up. It's 85-year-old Bob. First, he killed his dog. Well, no, Smitty twisted Twinkie's neck. And now John, he was putting in... John's pretty good at this, whatever your name is. It's pretty good, except... You can, if you listen closely, there's always one too many details, and you're like, all right, there's no way anybody who's flown before, you son of a bitch. But I tripped you up with what do you do for a living? You didn't have the pertinent details.
I'll add some less details.
Yeah.
I'll add less details next time.
I'm 310 pounds, and I had poop all down my leg. John, you son of a bitch, because you know what? You're making fun of actual 310-pound people
with poop on their pants.
With poop on their pants who are white-collar employees and have to get thee to a conference room.
I should have known better because he said he was taking a business trip, and the people who flew him out there made him fly Spirit, and he's 310 pounds.
Yeah, but it's not like companies are bending over backwards to get you luxury accommodations.
They don't fly you Spirit, though.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
They just fired a quarter of the people over at Paramount because they're looking to save money.
They don't fly you Spirit
please.
for a business trip.
Yes, they would. In a heartbeat, they would. Hey, you need to be at this meeting. We booked you on Spirit.
They'll get you American Airlines or
Why? Why would they?
They do.
Why would they? How many business trips have you taken, smart guy? Because I've taken a whole lot of them. They don't put you on American Airlines. Maybe if the Spirit flight is all booked, they're not looking to spend more money. What do you think? They're flying you out first class? Those days are over.
Business class.
Can I put you guys on hold for a minute? I gotta take this call.
Shut up, John. This guy. Well, he kind of got us again, but I'll tell you what, he spins a good yarn.
That was a pretty good one.
It was all right. I didn't mind listening to it. Here, I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying to fake being sympathetic to him, you know. Oh, come on. Yeah, I'll hold on. Okay. All right. My Poundcake just puts on my screen. John is 310 pounds and flew Spirit. That's all it says. I'm like, all right, I can probably fill in the blanks then. Because there are very large people flying commercial airplanes.
My brother was.
So there's enough of that's true. But the whole, like, how did you get poop on the outside of your pants if you, I don't know. Listen,
my brother's a big guy.
I don't know anything about the life of big people like that, so I can't call bull shrimp on any of it. I gotta surf along the wave, man.
My brother was a big guy, and he has come in handy on a flight because he wasn't. I would rather sit next to a big guy that I know who's clean and smells good than a guy that I don't. And he made a good headrest. I was like, I don't care if people think this is gay at all. Like, I was sleeping on him, and again, I told him before, I'm like, for you being a big guy, he's never stunk. I've never once smelled his BO, ever. He has never had BO. And he was like, well, if I'm big, you have no excuse. If you're big, you need to wash.
Yes, you got to get all the folds.
I have never smelled him. I have had BO. Well, I know that.
Because you're working out.
Well, yes, but
where are you doing that?
Oh, Orange Theory Fitness. But like, I obviously smell myself, but I have been around him, leisurely at his house, and he never stinks. I'm like, how are you fat? You never stink. He's like, I don't stink.
Well, I'm sure not all fat people stink. I would just think it would be. I would
We're
think
fat because we don't move either. So
you probably just have to do more diligence. I would imagine.
But I applaud him. In his 34 years, the 30 years that I've been around him, I don't have a time where I smelled him. Not ever. Not once.
I guess not.
It's crazy.
Alan, tell Poundcake I work for United Healthcare, and they fly us on Spirit all the time. Well, yeah, because the healthcare industry, they don't really make that much money, so they got to cut corners. They're really hurting in the healthcare industry.
Where are they flying you to if you're in the healthcare industry?
All over. If you're like in a C-suite type of person, you get a white-collar job. You're a salesperson or something, they're flying you out. They're not.
That's so rude.
You think they're putting you in first class?
Even iHeart didn't make us fly Spirit.
It's not Mad Men.
They would if they would have had a flight.
Yes. That just means they couldn't get us on Spirit.
They had it was 7 or 8 of us, and they didn't fly Spirit.
That's right. Okay, let me break here. I will have Bill Maher tickets for you a little bit later on. Going to put you at Buzzard Fest as well if you've been hanging out for those tickets around 420. August the 4th, it is the return of Buzzard Fest after almost a quarter century absence. It's Incubus and Live and Filter and Welshly Arms and Bush and lots more bands too. So we'll do that a little bit later on.
The Alan Cox Show.
On our free iHeart